They say every comic has a cover, but not every story stays inside the lines. Some are too dark for the ink, and some are too loud for the speech bubbles. My name is Aaron, and this is my collection of things that shouldn't exist. You've reached the bottom of the bin, where the back issues have a life of their own. Tonight's entry, Fragments of Silence. The air inside Last Call Electronics tasted like hot dust and solder. A single strip of flypaper twisted slowly near the ceiling, stirred by the old window AC unit that rattled like it was on its last legs. Vic Morales stood behind the glass counter in a faded navy blue t-shirt, his graying hair cut short out of habit. His scarred hands rested on the counter as he watched the young couple browse. The 23-year-old kid in a crisp new jersey stood at the counter, clearly expecting to swipe a card. His girlfriend wandered the narrow aisles, laughing at the spinning wire rack of dusty DVDs. "Look at this," she said, holding one up. "Vintage DVDs from the 1900s. These belong in a museum, not a store." Vic didn't look up. He simply pointed one steady finger at the cash-only sign taped to the register. The kid sighed, dug into his wallet, and began counting out wrinkled bills. He slapped down $40, and they headed for the door. The old brass bells gave a jingle as they left, letting the outside world back in for a moment, loud, fast, and disposable. The bell rang again almost immediately. Henry, the UPS driver, stepped inside in his brown uniform and dropped a padded manila mailer on the counter. "Rough day, Vic?" he asked. Vic gave a small nod and slid the wire-rimmed glasses up to his nose to check the return address, Asheville, North Carolina. He picked up the envelope. It felt too light for what it carried. "Thanks, Henry." He turned and pushed through the bead curtain to the dim back room, leaving the front of the shop behind. Vic lowered himself onto the old stool in a quiet grunt. His back always complained after too many hours at the bench. Under the workbench, Buster, an old heavy-set mutt with some hound in him, lay in a heap of chocolate-brown fur. The dog offered one lazy thump of his tail and then went back to sleep. Vic pulled the worn orange box cutter from his pocket, clicked the blade out one notch, and sliced cleanly across the top of the mailer. He tipped the envelope over the surgically clean 12 by 12-inch square on his workbench, his nesting area, the only spot that stayed spotless. Out slid the phone. It was a modern Android, protected by a clear case with a thick, textured pink rubber edge. Peeling cat stickers dotted the back, their cartoon faces half lifted at the corners. The screen was a spiderweb of cracks. The casing was badly split along one side. It looked painfully young and bright against the scarred wood and neatly arranged tools. Buster let out a long, whistling sigh through his nose. Vic unfolded the lined notebook paper that had been tucked inside the mailer. He read it slowly under the bright white light of his magnified ring light, his lips moving just a little. "Mr. Morales, we are writing because we don't know where else to turn. Our daughter Sarah went missing 18 days ago while hiking a section of the Appalachian Trail near the Gap. Search teams found her body 4 days later, miles from the trailhead. They called it an accident, a fall, but none of it makes sense. Sarah grew up in these woods. She knew every ridge and hollow like the back of her hand. 2 days after they recovered her, search and rescue found her phone sitting upright in the middle of the clearing, 3 miles away from where she was found. The screen is shattered and the casing is badly cracked. The police kept it for a week. Their forensics team told us it was the internal board was catastrophically fried and the data was unrecoverable. Damage from the impact or exposure, they said. A friend sent us a link to a blog called The Digital Ghost. It told the story of how you recovered evidence from a young man's tablet after the authorities had already given up. They said you see things other people miss. We aren't asking for miracles, Victor. We just want to know what happened to her in her last minutes. The police are closing the file, but we can't close ours. Not yet. We've enclosed $300 in cash. We saw on the blog that your shop is cash only. If you need more, please tell us. Please, Mr. Morales, help us bring Sarah home the rest of the way. Sincerely, Elena and Thomas Miller." Vic set the letter down carefully on the clean square. He stared at the cheerful pink phone case and its half-peeling cat stickers. Something innocent still clung to it, something that didn't belong in this dim room full of old tools and older regrets. "They always say it's fried, don't they, Buster?" he murmured. "Catastrophically," he mumbled with an air quote. The old dog lifted his head, ears twitching. Vic first peeled off the thick pink rubber edge protector with careful fingers. The clear case underneath came away next, revealing the cheerful cartoon cat stickers more fully, some peeling at the edges, their silly faces frozen in a permanent playfulness. It felt wrong somehow, handling something so bright and innocent in this dim, solder-scented workshop. He set the protector aside on the clean nesting square, then reached for a set of fine plastic prying tools. With the same steady focus he once used checking gear before a drop zone insertion, he worked the tools along the cracked seams of the casing. The plastic groaned softly as he popped the back cover free. Inside, the board looked battered, scorch traces, possible corrosion from exposure in the woods. Sarah's phone had been through hell, but the memory chip might still hold its secrets. Vic wiped away the debris he could with a soft cloth and isopropyl, his scarred hands moving with surgical calm. He hunted through the nest of cables on the wall until he found a compatible USB-C cord and set of fine jumper wires. He plugged the cord in anyway. Nothing. No light, no charging icon. Undeterred, he leaned closer under the microscope's glow, wire-rimmed glasses reflecting the harsh white light. He bridged a careful connection directly to the battery terminals on the board, bypassing the damaged charging port entirely. Then he flipped the toggle on his bench power supply. A low haptic thrum vibrated through the metal workbench, like a faint heartbeat trying to restart after years of silence. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Buster lifted his head, ears perked. Then the shattered screen gasped to life. A jagged white crack glowed like lightning trapped in glass. The lock screen appeared. Sarah looked back at him. Wind-blown hair, bright eyes, a heavy hiking pack on her shoulders, sunset light making her face glow. She was laughing in that photo, alive in the way the cracked screen couldn't fully hide. Vic bypassed the lock the way he always did when the owners couldn't do it themselves, careful and respectful, like stepping into someone else's quiet house. He found the last file, dated April 19th, 1 minute and 42 seconds, unsent. The thumbnail showed a blur of green leaves and a blinding white light. Vic took a slow breath. His back ached, but he barely felt it now. Buster had sat up, ears perked, staring at the phone as if he could sense the storm coming. Vic hit play. The video opened with a shaky handheld rhythm. Sarah's face filled the frame, bright-eyed and smiling, wind whipping through her hair. "Day 3, she said, her voice light and full of wonder. "My legs are officially jelly, but look at this view." She turned the camera, sweeping across the rolling green ridges of the Appalachian Trail near the gap. Distant mountains faded into haze. You can see all the way up to the gap. It's so quiet up here. You forget the world sounds like traffic until you get somewhere the birds are the only ones talking. For a moment her smile held, then it faltered, and she stopped walking. The camera panned slowly across a thicket of pine trees, and the wind had died completely. "Wait," she said, her voice dropping. "Do you hear that? Or do you not hear that?" The birds stopped. Everything just stopped. The air feels heavy, like right before a massive thunderstorm, but there's not a cloud in the sky. It's off. Something feels off. She glanced over her shoulder. Her breathing grew a little quicker. She started walking faster and the camera bouncing with her steps. "I'm going to head back to the trailhead. I don't like the way the light is hitting the trees right now. It's too bright." A sudden, high-pitched mechanical hum sliced through the audio. Cold, artificial, nothing like wild or animals. For 2 full seconds, the screen washed out in a blinding white flash. Sarah let out a sharp, confused, "Hey!" but was cut off mid-word. Then the camera was no longer in her hand. It tumbled wildly through the air. Flashes of green pine needles, brown bark, and patches of blue sky spun in a sickening vertigo, the audio filled with the brutal sounds of impact, thwack, thud, crack as the phone smashed through heavy branches on its long fall. Finally, a dull thud. The phone bounced once and settled onto the forest floor. The lens pointed straight up at the canopy and the pale blue sky beyond. Nothing moved. No birds, no wind, just total eerie silence that stretched on until the video ended and the screen went black. Vic sat motionless. The ache in his back had disappeared, swallowed by something colder and heavier. He stared at the darkened phone, at the cheerful pink rubber edge and the innocent cat stickers that now felt like fragments of a life interrupted. He looked down at Buster. The dog sat bolt upright, head cocked, eyes fixed on the phone, as if he could still hear that mechanical hum lingering in the quiet shop. Vic slowly removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes with the heels of his scarred hands. "She wasn't on the ground, Buster," he said in a low and rough voice. "The phone didn't fall out of her pocket. It fell out of the sky." Buster whined softly once, a sound that Vic rarely heard from the old dog. The shop felt quiet again, except for the distant rattle of the AC unit. Outside, the modern world kept spinning. Loud kids, disposable everything, noise that never stopped. Inside Last Call Electronics, an old soldier and his weary dog sat with one more ghost that refused to stay lost. Vic stared at the letter from Elena and Thomas Miller. They wanted to know what happened in Sarah's last minutes. They wanted to bring her home the rest of the way. He wasn't sure he could give them peace, but he had brought her this far. Vic cleaned his glasses and slid them back on. He reached for his tools once more. "All right, Sarah," he whispered into the silence. "Let's see what else you left behind." The pink rubber case caught the light of the ring lamp. Cat stickers still smiling faintly as if waiting for the rest of the story to be found. A cracked screen is an easy fix. A dead battery is just a matter of voltage. But Vic Morales is finding out that some devices don't just carry data, they carry a signature. Sarah Miller went into the gap looking for the quiet. She found something else. Something that didn't just wait for her to fall, it reached up to meet her. We're pausing the tape here, but remember, the loudest things in this world are often ones that don't make a sound. We'll be back to finish the extraction. Until then, stay out of the quiet.